Welcome to Construction Viewpoint, Construction Week's weekly podcast series covering a wide range of key issues across the region's built environments. Now today I'm joined in the studio by MEP's editor Tom Oxtoby, who covers the region's mechanical, electrical and plumbing contractors, as well as the components needed for new developments. And we're going to be discussing building information modelling, which is otherwise known as BIM, and its role in the construction industry. So Tom, thank you very much for joining me in the studio today.
Thanks for having me, Ash. Good to be here.
No worries at all. Now, for our listeners not aware of building information modelling, it's a 3D model process that gives architecture, engineering, and construction professionals the insight and tools to manage buildings and infrastructure. Tom, so I know you've been covering building information modelling on MEP, and I think you can agree that technology within the construction sector is being introduced more often, compared to a decade ago. So can you tell me some of the case studies that you've been working on and how the technology is becoming more efficient for MEP contractors?
Yeah, no problem. I've been speaking to a number of senior industry leaders, top brass at Alemco, Voltas, and AESG consultants. And the prevailing message coming from the industry is that something's got to give. The construction industry has moved very little in the last 50 years, especially compared to the aviation industry, manufacturing, the automobile industry. In fact, dating back to the end of World War II, all the way up to the mid-1990s, it was very much moving at glacial pace, very, very slowly. And when industry stagnates like that or moves incredibly slowly, it presents an opportunity for inefficiencies to become sort of standard practice. What BIM hopes to and offers the potential to overcome is those inefficiencies. Case in point, on a regular basis, it's reported to me that one of the primary issues for MEP contractors when they're on a build is the lines of communication with consultants, designers, architects. What BIM offers is the potential to get everybody singing on the same hymn sheet. And what you have to consider for MEP in particular is typically they are the last to arrive at a project. So if there's a problem when they arrive, they don't have the luxury of being able to kick it down the road like everybody else has until they arrive. So BIM gives the potential for MEP to come in and actually be able to get on with their job because everything has been adhered to as outlined in the plans.
And there was a KPMG survey that came out today that says, technology such as BIM is going to cause a major disruption for the construction industry. So how do you think, technology like BIM is going to relieve pressure on contractors across the Middle East?
The relief of pressure will come in the reduction of risk, basically. It's no great revelation to say that the construction industry isn't liquid at the minute. Global demand for construction may be massive, but the industry isn't liquid. And as in most other sectors, cash is king. The purpose of BIM is to foresee those problems that could result in the need for a cash injection, which, as I've said, isn't available right now, and to mitigate the problems that arise when there is a call for cash. What's been going on in the UK is the government introduced a mandate for large-scale developments to use BIM. Dubai has already mirrored that and brought that in. For developments topping out at 40 stories, private developments topping out at 40 stories, and also for public sector builds such as hospitals, schools, universities, that sort of thing. So it's sort of mirroring the movements that have been taking place in the UK. And what's happening in the UK is BIM is now becoming standardized. And that's potentially a route that Dubai and the rest of the region can explore in due course. What it does by becoming mandated for certain projects is it fosters a natural awareness of the technology. And, I don't really have to explain to you that it's sort of in our nature to resist change. Change can be scary. Unknown quantities can put people off essentially investing in something, even though to a certain set of people it might seem the most obvious thing in the world. So the construction industry can be very stubborn, and there are certainly plenty of obstacles still in the way in the overall adoption of BIM in this part of the world.
And you talked a lot about, cash injections just then. So could you tell me a little bit more about the cost implications that building information modeling kind of involves for contractors?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with BIM is BIM itself is very much a buzzword at the minute. People like to throw it around because companies and individuals want to be seen at being at the forefront of innovation and, industry leaders and the rest of it. The reality is BIM isn't an app you download on the Google Play Store. It's a serious investment in software that can revolutionize what a company is able to deliver. Right now, firms are operating on a business critical day-by-day basis, which means unless it's crucial to the company, then there's not going to be budget for it. However, it would be naive of firms to think that there isn't long-term ROI to be had on investing in BIM. Yes, there's an initial outlay, and then there is ongoing staff training and development costs, because the people you're putting in charge of this software have to be able to run it properly, because it will become a core pillar of the company strategy. So they've got to be on top of it. But after that, I'm not a clairvoyant. I haven't got a crystal ball. I don't know exactly how much BIM is going to affect individual companies, but it stands to reason that if you make this shift to a new way of working and moving into that digital space, it will have knock-on implications for what the rest of the company looks like. And there will be, no doubt, cost-saving exercises in that regard.
What do you think the outlook is for BIM? Do you think the technology is going to be a typical sort of practice for contractors in the years to come?
Yeah, I think so. I think we, as I said, we at the top of the show, we're getting to the point now where something's got to give, and digitalization is becoming a necessity. People always talk about the construction industry in this part of the world being very cutthroat, and it really now is starting to look like survival of the fittest. The companies that look to make the initial moves into BIM and other, adjacent technologies are going to be the ones at the forefront, ready to go when the industry takes that significant step towards mass digitalization. And I think when as more and more projects become BIM mandated, and that natural awareness grows, and that marketed awareness grows, because more companies are going to be pushing it. And once it clicks and the penny drops for the industry, there will be a bit of a scramble to get up to speed, so that some of those medium and smaller firms can exist in the new digital way of working. I was speaking to Suresh Kumar at Voltas recently, and he went as far to predict that in 5 years' time, there's going to be a complete technological revolution for the construction industry. Not in 50 years' time. I think the 50 years mark has been sort of picked up to mirror the 50 years that the construction industry has barely moved. he predicts 5 to 6 years' time. And he he predicted everything from robotic centers to a vast reduction in accessible labor, because right now skilled labor workforce in the UAE made up of migrants from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, to a lesser extent the Philippines. And what you have to remember is these are developing nations. And he told me, particularly in India, the gap in terms of what you can earn is closing. So why would a potential Indian migrant coming to the UAE want to come to this part of the world when he could potentially earn just about the same as he could in his native land? And Suresh, really insightful interview. Make sure to keep an eye out for it on the MEP Middle East website in the coming days and weeks. He went as far to say that this how should I phrase this? This drying up of the labour market will actually accelerate digitalisation, because the jobs that were being performed by these skilled migrants are now going to have to be completed by AI and digital means. Maybe not in a like-for-like swap, but there will be the necessity for the industry to look for solutions in technology.
A great insight there from Tom on building information modeling. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge.
No worries. Really appreciate it.
But of course, you can follow all of our up-to-date news on technology developments across the Middle East over the coming months through our news website, constructionweekonline.com. Now, if there's any topics that you'd like myself or anyone else from the Construction Week editorial team to discuss in another episode, then do get in touch through the description box below. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, goodbye.